His Excellency Zakri, Jaafar, High Commissioner of Malaysia, the Britain, Excellency Richard Grant, the National Trade Envoy of the Prime Minister of UK, to Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, and the ASEAN countries, to Representative Entry of Lingam, Chairman of Bursa, Malaysia, Dr. S.K. Lingam, Chairman Malaysia UK Link, our distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Selamat pagi, selamat datang. A very warm welcome to our Malaysian-British Partnership Forum to commemorate the 65th anniversary of the bilateral partnership between our two countries. It was not long ago when we held a similar forum to commemorate the Diamond Jubilee of the Malaysia-British Partnership, where both Sri Wahid and the Honourable Richard Graham kindly officiated that forum 5 years ago. Delighted to have both of you here again this morning. Our Honourable Minister of Plantation Industry and Commodities is supposed to be giving a keynote address this morning, has been slightly delayed at Heathrow Airport on arrival from Washington, D.C. this morning. She is on the way here, but in the interest of time, we will commence the forum and wait for her to arrive later for her keynote address. Our bilateral partnership has endured the test of time. So over the past 65 years, this partnership has covered a wide area: economic, trade, business, education, tourism, culture, youth exchanges, foreign relations, defense, and security. It is perhaps time to look at enhancing new areas of bilateral collaboration in the future economy, in the digital, technology, and innovation, in the green economy, in climate change, as well as in ESGs and SDGs. The future of work and to be future ready is one of the key challenges that Malaysia faces, and perhaps collaboration with UK businesses and universities can be one way that we can work together to overcome some of these shortcomings. Malaysia has somewhat, in recent years, been misunderstood internationally. We need to better focus on perception management for Malaysia to improve our international perception. Malaysia, I believe, has a positive story, a positive narrative to tell our friends overseas. And we do hope that events like this will be able to create a more positive image of our country. We look forward to our speakers being able to enlighten our participants on what the future holds for Malaysia. The future of Malaysia is to a large extent dependent on what I would call the 3 E's: economy, education, and environment. And the future of our bilateral relationship also depends on our next generation, tomorrow's leaders. It is therefore good to see here several of our youth leaders from several universities here in the UK being with us today, because you are the future leaders who will take the bilateral relationship forward. In conclusion, I would like to perhaps put forward a suggestion for both countries to reconsider reviving the Malaysian-British Business Council that was first set up in 1996. That had been discontinued somehow over the last 10 years. It is perhaps time to once again resuscitate and revive this bilateral business council to build on the strong momentum of our bilateral business ties, especially in the new economy and new business areas like digital economy, green economy, renewable energy, climate change, and the environment. Reactivating the Business Council, I believe, will reignite our partnerships and collaboration and give a new impetus to bilateral business collaboration. So we hope that when we move forward, we can also take into consideration the tremendous impact that the 3 T's will impact on the world of global economy, and that's trade, tourism, and technology. We must also strengthen the bilateral partnership with stronger collaboration between government, business, and civil society. I thank you and welcome you to the forum.
Thank you very much, Zakri, for those opening remarks. Next, I'd like to call upon our host, Datuk S.K. Lingam, Chairman of Malaysia Link UK, who is also the President of the ASEAN UK Business Forum, to give his welcome speech.
I don't need a mic. I think my voice is Korean enough for you all to hear me. If you can't hear me, just put your hands up and I'll scream. We must apologize. We have started a bit late because we are Malaysians. We follow Malaysian time. But we must be grateful for our Malaysian delegation led by Tan Sri Wahid Omar and Tan Sri Michael Yeoh, especially our minister. Unfortunately, she's running a bit late, for bringing with them the warm, glorious Malaysian sunshine. Anyway, so give them a warm hand for that. My High Commissioner, His Excellency Datuk Zakri Jaafar, the High Commissioner of Malaysia to the Court of St. James's, Richard Graham, the Honourable Richard Graham, the Trade Envoy of the British Prime Minister to Malaysia and the ASEAN Economic Community. I hesitate to say he is also the Trade Envoy to Philippines and Indonesia. But today we are talking about Malaysia. Last week I was with Richard at the Indonesian High Commission for an event. And so it's so nice because he's a very difficult person to get hold of. You have to give 6 months advance notice. But I am very fortunate that within a week I had the opportunity to see Richard twice. Thank you, Richard, for making the time to be here. I know there's great impositions on your time. My very good friend of many decades, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Michael Yeoh, President of KSI, Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific. Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Abdul Wahid Omar, Chairman of Bursa, the Stock Exchange of Malaysia. And my long-standing friend in the UK, Mason Lai, OBE, Chairperson of BMS, and the Queen's Representative, Deputy Lieutenant for the London Borough of Brent, UK. Tan Sri, Dato, distinguished guests. Good morning, selamat pagi, and a very warm welcome to this Malaysia-UK 65 years partnership and beyond forum. 65 years, you know. When I was 10 years old, this partnership was started. So you can guess how young I am. At this juncture, I would like to convey my sincere gratitude to Team KSI from Malaysia and my very own team, Team Malaysia Link UK, who are mainly all students whom I mentor. Thank you all for your untiring efforts and selfless sacrifice in organizing this event. Ladies and gentlemen, give them a very warm welcome. Of course, my special thanks to my High Commissioner for taking the time to be here with us despite his very hectic schedules. As many dignitaries and ministers from Malaysia are here. And consequently, His Excellency has to leave us after his speech, soon after his speech. So we must excuse him because otherwise he will be out of a job tomorrow. So we wouldn't want that. So ladies and gentlemen, enjoy these proceedings and I now yield to the MC. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Datuk, for your kind words. Apologies. Next, it is my honor to introduce and to invite the Malaysian High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, His Excellency Zakri Jaafar, to give his special address.
I need to use the microphone because I don't have a loud voice as so if you all will bear with me. Tan Sri Abdul Wahid Omar, Chairman Bursa Malaysia, Honorable Richard Graham, Special Trade Envoy to the British Prime Minister, Tan Sri Michael Yeoh, President, KSI Strategic Institute for Asia Pacific, Datuk Lingam, Chairman Malaysia and UK. Let's see who else will be representing me. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry if I missed any of your names, but I'm having a very hectic schedule. The Secretary has had to prepare me a very simple text. So, selamat pagi and a very good morning to everyone. At the outset, allow me to thank the organizer, Tan Sri Michael Yeoh, President of KSI, and Datuk Lingam of MLUK, and their team for organizing this first in-person event post-COVID-19 and to invite me to give this special address. I hope I can give and meet the expectation. We at the Malaysian High Commission are very delighted to support this event. As Datuk Lingam has mentioned, I have several other dignitaries from Malaysia here in London at the same time. Hence, I regret that I will not be able to stay with everyone throughout. Nonetheless, I am very pleased that Datuk Lingam has chosen this venue because it's very convenient for me. It's just a few steps away from my office. And I'm pleased to be here again for the second time. The first time was when I attended the British Malaysia Society hosted by Messi. And I'm very impressed with this building and I hope I'll be able to do something to my office as well. Ladies and gentlemen, as everyone would appreciate, Malaysia and Britain have enjoyed many years of meaningful cooperation and very warm and cordial diplomatic relations since the Federation of Malaya's independence in 1957. Both countries are also members of the Commonwealth and the Five Power Defence Arrangement or FPDA. Therefore, it is very apt that today's event is themed commemorating Malaysia-British Partnership 65 years and beyond. On the 8th of November last year, in conjunction with the visit by the Right Honourable Elizabeth Truss, MP, UK Secretary of State for Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Affairs to Malaysia, both countries agreed and signed the establishment of the Malaysia-United Kingdom Strategic Dialogue. The first session of the Strategic Dialogue was held here in London on 24 February 2022 at the senior officials level. The expeditious manner in which this dialogue took off in February following Secretary of State Liz Truss' visit in November underscore the deep and well-established ties of Malaysia and the United Kingdom and the importance that is attached by every player. We are committed to promoting dialogue between our country's political, diplomatic cooperation and foreign diplomatic policy matters. We also agreed at the dialogue to have clear coordination through multilateral bodies to support sustainable economic growth and prosperity, particularly in the areas of green technology, sustainable urbanization and development, water resources management, environmental protection, ocean governance, hydrometeorology services, health, innovation, including cooperation on the digital economy, smart cities, infrastructure, and construction in line with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We also discussed and agreed on digital and technology cooperation, as well as aim to create conditions to promote greater understanding between the people of both countries. Further, in the education sector, we are committed to promoting sustainable growth in science, technology, and innovation, and to helping Malaysia equip its workforce with essential skills for the digital economy. We also endeavor to cooperate bilaterally and in multilateral entities in the promotion and protection of human rights and the observance to the rule of law, and to expand and deepen the bilateral trade and investment relationship. These areas that I have mentioned will certainly provide everyone here today with many sphere and space to discuss as we commemorate our 65 years of partnership and to look beyond this moment. I don't want to take much time, for I'm sure everybody is tight with a very hectic schedule, as I am as well. So I wish you all a very productive and successful forum, and I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, His Excellency Datuk Zakri Jaafar, High Commissioner of Malaysia to the UK, for his speech. Next up, we have a special address from the Honourable Richard Graham, Special Trade Envoy of the British Prime Minister to Malaysia, and I'd like to invite him to give us a few words.
Thank you very much. And selamat pagi, selamat datang, good morning everyone. What a glittering cast of Malaysia-UK partnership, kerjasama, has been assembled today in the Caledonian Hotel. And I must congratulate Tan Sri Michael Yeoh and Datuk SK Lingam, the chair of the UK-Malaysia Link, for gathering this great cast together, bringing the Malaysian sunshine, and also, interestingly, under the beady eye of the man who would have liked to have been king, Bonnie Prince Charlie. I'm sure he would also be welcoming Her Majesty the Queen of Malaysia if she knew that she was here today as well. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of distinguished people to remember and to recognize: Tan Sris, Datus, Datos, knights, barons, who knows it. We may have princes from scattered around Europe here as well. But I'm not going to be able to give a complete roll call, but I do want to welcome in her absence YB Zuraida Kamarudin, the Minister of Plantations and Commodities, and I hope that she has a very interesting and successful visit. It's a particularly important sector. Obviously, the issue of palm oil is particularly sensitive to both you and us, and I hope that she makes good progress on our discussions on that particular element of the environment. Let me just reassure you, Your Excellency, the High Commissioner, that the UK perspective, as you know, is to reinforce the efforts of national and local governments like Malaysia to uphold your own laws to protect forests and to ensure sustainable land use. And the core of our approach is not to have the imposition of an external sustainability standard, but to work with producer countries such as Malaysia to support your efforts to strengthen environmental protection. So this is absolutely in the spirit of the Ulang Tahun 65 and the Kerja Sama that we're here to celebrate. By the way, it's very easy for me to remember how old Malaysia is, because Malaysia is 1 year older than me. And that fact will never change throughout the rest of my or her life. So it's a happy birthday to Malaysia in this context. Of the other distinguished guests gathered here, I want to particularly say what a pleasure it is to see my old friend Tan Sri Wahid in his distinguished role as chairman of the Malaysian Stock Exchange. I do think that there is a lot of good cooperation that we can do together in the stock exchanges across ASEAN, in fact, as well as the bilateral one. It's also, of course, a great pleasure to welcome Datuk Sri Koh Peng Kang, the boss of Setia, which, as you know, is the major investor in Europe's largest urban regeneration project, Battersea Power Station, which is powering ahead fast. Even as we talk, there are people on scaffolding moving forward sharply, and I believe that early in the autumn we may expect some sort of grand opening and climax. And this is very important for Malaysian citizens, because their pension funds are deeply invested in Battersea, and we want to make sure that they get a good pension. So that's important. But I think slightly more seriously, this will become the new must-go-to destination for leisure, retail, happenings. It's a great destination, as well as being a lovely place to live. And I live just across the river from it, so I watch the progress out of my bedroom window. I think it's also a good moment to highlight that we have Andrew Koo here from Millennium United Industries, but had also with his colleague Kuram representing Chorus Hotels in the UK. And we much appreciate all the different sectors, Andrew, that you're involved in with the UK. So that's just by way of brief introduction. The High Commissioner, His Excellency Zakri, Jaafar, of course. High Commissioner, you know everybody in this room and could give me a detailed biography later on of everyone, but I just wanted to highlight a few key people here today. So let me, SK, without further ado, say a few words about the partnership today. You alluded, High Commissioner, rightly to the new strategic dialogue and to the Five Powers Defence Agreement, which I think has an enhanced role in today's uncertainties and maintaining the importance of the freedom of navigation. This is an uncertain world. Who would have guessed a year ago that we would have seen a major invasion of the type not seen since the Second World War on the borders of Europe? A quite extraordinary situation, which reminds us all of the security challenges in the world, especially when aging leaders, democratically unaccountable, have boundary grievances. And these are issues that the whole of the world is now wrestling with. It reminds me of the great Malaysian proverb, bertepuk sebelah tangan tidak akan berbunyi. Roughly speaking in English, it takes two to tango. Now next week I will be back in Malaysia for the first time since August 2019. And as I arrive in KL on Monday, I believe the Ministers of Higher Education and Education will be joining the Education World Forum here in London. And there are also visits to the UK next week by Invest KL and the Iskandar Regional Development Authority. Basically, they heard I was coming. So they ran keluar negeri secepat mungkin. They headed for the UK. But what it symbolises, along with the distinguished visits that the High Commissioner alluded to here in London this week, is that the relationship, like all good relationships, needs frequent contact both ways. And the world of virtual and Zoom meetings that we've all had to endure for the last 2.5 years, there is nothing like meeting people face to face for a good conversation. And that's how relationships between nations, businesses, and individuals thrive. So I look forward to seeing old and new friends in Malaysia next week. Let me just mention a couple of other things that are relevant in this great 65th anniversary. Obviously, the achieving of dialogue partner status by the UK with ASEAN was an important step forward, and we're grateful to Malaysia for your support. And then, of course, we are also applying to accede to the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And whether Malaysia decides to ratify, I think, is still a question hanging in the air. But the UK-Malaysia Joint Committee on Bilateral Trade and Investment Cooperation is the practical step forward that I want to highlight today. Bilateral trade, of course, fell inevitably during the pandemic, but it has recovered pretty well. And let me give a couple of examples of exciting developments. Clarivate PLC, through its investment in Penang, became the 100th British company in Malaysia to be given MSC status, and Double 11, an interactive digital entertainment technology company, has chosen KL as its base for Southeast Asia, with a growing presence in the country. And, you know, digital entertainment, I mean, 10, 20 years ago, we wouldn't have been talking about that. But today, this is big business, so it is important, as is BAE Systems Applied Intelligence, the AI arm of BAE, which now has over 300 staff in their AI engineering centre in KL. We look forward here in London to welcoming our friends from MDEC, who've done so much to support the development of partnerships between our two countries, to London Tech Week in June. And of course, there are also Malaysian investments over here. TNB has launched Vantage, a London-based renewables investment and asset management company, and there are many great green opportunities for Malaysian investors over here. Now, in the run-up to COP26, it's worth highlighting last year that our High Commission in KL co-organised the Malaysia Climate Action Week with the British Malaysia Chamber of Commerce, which Michael Yeoh, of course, is very much involved with, and I look forward to seeing them next week. I think 28 Malaysian companies have signed up to this, a commitment setting climate goals. And this is a good example, really, of a wider Malaysian proverb, the hendak seribu daya, tak hendak seribu dali. Roughly speaking, where there's a will, there's a way. If we're all determined to try and improve the climate change situation, then we can all work towards it in our different ways. And I think that is the sort of general theme that I would like to leave with you today. There are difficult times, undoubtedly, in the world today. I've just come back from Washington. The administration there, I think, is pretty uncertain about the results of the midterm elections coming up. We've had a pandemic, followed by an invasion, followed by all sorts of supply chain problems, cost of living increases, and inflation. These will test us all, at home, at work, and in our governments. Another great Malaysian proverb, sudah jatuh dilampa tangga. It never rains but pours. All of these problems have followed each other very swiftly. And we will need our friends and our partnerships to help us through difficult times by greater, even greater cooperation. Terima kasih banyak.